back with another video from the Spa Association. I have some very special guests today who are connected to me through associations, and I'll tell you about it in a minute. But we have Myra ready. She is, what do you do at PBA?
I'm the Director of Government Affairs for PBA. I've been there, I just celebrated my 10-year work anniversary.
And you'll notice she has way more hair than Frank and I, but we'll talk about that another time. And I have Frank Zona up in Boston. And Frank, I told you, one of my favorite towns because my daughter went to school and we love Italian food. So.
Yeah, it is a great town, and it's the place to come to eat your way through when it opens back up.
Good. Well, we'll come and we'll do it together next time we come out to Boston, okay?
Sounds good.
Frank, you have 3 salon spas up there, but you do something else for the Professional Beauty Association. What is that?
Yeah, so historically, I've been involved with PBA really almost since its inception, and primarily it's been in the advocacy area. So. I've been involved in that project with some very good people, Myra leading it, as she said, for the last decade extremely well. And it's probably the most important, in my opinion, has been historically something that we've lacked in the industry is we've got this very important large industry, but government affairs and all the things that we all face on the spa side, the salon side, the barber side, the massage side, you name it. We're all licensed. We're all touched by government in a lot of different ways. And yet one place maybe where historically behind stay restaurants or other spaces is advocacy. So that's been my role there for whatever weird reason. My family's been in the business for over a century. So I still see clients myself. I'm a hairdresser but for whatever weird reason, I understand tax law or some, don't ask me why, but I do.
So you're saying that we can cut hair and do hair even though we don't have a lot of hair. So it's perfectly fine, right?
That's right. Okay,
so I have, our association, the Spa Industry Association, has always been very close with people. If you don't know, it's the Professional Beauty Association. You need to join them. We're using PBA for short, but their director of membership is a Minnesota gal at heart, even though she lives in Scottsdale as well. And that's kind of what brought us together. And since we don't have government advocacy through the Spa Industry Association, we post, repost, and share and do anything that we can to support you. So God bless you guys for staying on top of all the government affairs and advocacy. And we're happy that we can share all those things right now. And maybe, Myra, why don't you start? Can you just tell us a little bit about what PBA is doing and that we have over 60,000 members across the globe to the association. So whatever messaging we can share after today, we're going to do that with you as well. You have the floor.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity and thank you for allowing us to participate today. What I wanted to touch on was our work at the federal level, and then I'd love to turn it back over to Frank as a real life example of a salon owner advocate and leader in this industry, especially in regards to our Small Business Tax Fairness and Compliance Simplification Act. We do have this legislation that's introduced in Congress. It was actually introduced last year, but it's a 2-year session. On the Senate side, we have Senate Bill 2634, and on the House, we have House Resolution 1349. Both of these bills address an issue that we have been working on for years. We have Darren LaHood in the House, who is our main lead sponsor, joined with Delbini from Washington, and we have Senator Cardin and Portman on the Senate side. This legislation, we've been working on it before PBA had a government affairs department. There's many salon owner advocates that are looking to have what's called the 45B tax tip credit extended to the beauty industry. It already exists, it's out there, so we're not asking for something new to be developed. But unfortunately, the restaurant industry is the only industry that can take advantage of this credit. And the credit is a dollar for dollar tax credit on the tips, on the FICA taxes that are paid by the employer in an employment-based salon on the tips that their employees make. We've had extensive number of lobby days throughout the years. There's been many hearings held. We've had a lot of bipartisan support on this legislation. Why are we talking about it now? Because there's an opportunity to get this credit inserted into the Phase 4 bill that Congress is working on right now in response to the global pandemic that's happening, which has basically shut down our economy due to the coronavirus. So this is a really important opportunity in time for salon owners to be able to get back that money on taxes. We'd like for this credit to be retroactive so that a salon owner right now could take advantage of getting back those taxes they paid in over the past couple years and have that confidence moving forward that they'll receive that credit every year beyond this time that we're in right now. So to create a little bit of confidence on how they could possibly move forward.
Myra, you said that so well. Thank you. And Frank, we're going to hear from you in a sec because I would love to have a real world example so people clearly understand what it is. But Myra, did I hear you say that the restaurant industry is the only one that right now has the dollar for dollar credit?
Right. They've had the credit since 1993. They are the highest tipped industry in the US, but the professional beauty industry is the second highest tipped industry. There have been many instances, I think, where Congress has recognized these issues with the tax credit and other issues that are happening right now in our economy, and the restaurant industry has been included in many different ways to have their economic needs met. And so what we're trying to do right now for Congress is to ask them, hey, don't forget about the professional beauty industry. We are small businesses too. We also could use some support out here. So we're taking time to engage so that we're relevant, that we are a topic of conversation right now for Phase 4. And we're really pushing to get our members of Congress to recognize the professional beauty industry and figure out ways that they can help us now.
I have to tell you something interesting. I've never, in the 31 year, well, Frank, you said over 100 years for your family, I think, but for the 31 years that I have been in our, I call it the spa salon channel, so all of these companies in our wellness world, right? I've never had so many of my friends, male friends, say, God, do I need a haircut? Oh my God, I need a pedicure. I mean, normally it's a non-event in the male part. We go, like my wife will say, I'm going for manicure. Yep, book me an appointment too, right? Et cetera, et cetera. But now it's actually my boyfriends complaining about their looks. So I don't think there isn't anyone in this world who is not keyed in on the value of the salon and spa world right now. And with the hundreds of thousands, if not million in the US who are in this industry, I see how critical this is right now. Frank, you want to pick it up and kind of explain exactly what that looks like from the someone in your salon getting a tip right through you paying the tax and how that works, please?
Yeah, maybe the way I could do it for you, Allan, is treat you like you were a member of Congress. And I would tell you that...
which I'll never be. Go ahead.
Yeah. But it does illustrate it because I would tell you that I do own small businesses. Yeah, we have 3 locations. We have 70 employees, and that's a big responsibility. But in this industry, we have tip income, as others do. Now that exists in the salon space, and by the beauty industry, we're talking about hair salons like myself, barbershops, day spas, resorts, any place where there's that personal services. And tip income is a significant piece of the economic kind of picture. Probably 25% of people's income, where tips are accepted. There's always exceptions to that, but the norm is tip income is a big piece of things. Interestingly, tip income is defined as wages paid by the employer. So, Allan, any tips that my employees receive, I don't control them. I might have some sense of what they are, but in reality, it's their property. But I owe 7.65%, that's FICA, that's Social Security, of whatever they received in reality. So think about that. How do you pay taxes on something you don't control? And that means that if we use $1 million as let's say a typical, I don't think that is typical, but for easy math, $1 million and the tip rate, let's use 20%. That means on $1 million salon or spa, that there's $200,000 of tip cash passing from customers to employees, and the salon employer owes 7.65% of that, or approximately 15 grand. And that's a liability. Now, first of all, we all know that there's many people who don't even understand that tips are defined as wages paid by the employer. Never mind that they owe 7.65% of it, but they do. And when they're audited or challenged in any way, they've got a big liability problem. So $15,000 a year matters, and it scales with the business, right? And so, but getting employees to report them, getting employees to recognize them as income, it matters now, I'll tell you, because unemployment insurance is tied to reported income, et cetera, and people are starting in some ways to see the value of reporting. But we have an industry that historically struggles with that reporting issue. It would help if we had a tax credit that you've already given the restaurant industry. Now, let's face it, the restaurant industry is tip intensive too, but they're all employment based, and they have special minimum wage rules. So a restaurant employer has sub minimum wage, $2, $3, $4 an hour. The average wage in our industry is $18 to $20 an hour, and we don't have the 45B. So 45B is just a number in the tax code, but that would be, in my case, worth, let's say, $40,000 a year. And in a small salon, let's say it was worth $5,000, $10,000 a year. That's real dollars, and that's real dollars right now. Now, over the years, as we've advocated for it, we've said, really an equality issue. Hey, you gave this to the restaurant industry. It helped them with tip compliance. We too should have it. And that remains a very valid reason why we're asking Congress to give it to us, is that why restaurants have all these special deals. Yes, they have a big building in Washington, D.C., but salons are in every street in the United States. We're deeply ingrained on Main Street. So yes, we deserve that equality. But now it goes beyond an equality argument to a lifeline argument. It really is an opportunity for liquidity. So what Myra said is super important. We need it now, and we need it to be retroactive, because that would mean a salon or a spa who employs their workers and who has had some level of tip reporting has paid taxes on something that, if we could get this passed now, they could immediately get a refund check for that amount. Let's say it goes back 2 years. Let's say a spa has $20,000 on the table that they paid in matching FICA on reported tips. $60,000 available to them right now.
It's the lifeline.
I mean, that's better than, there's PPP, there's all kinds of other programs out there, but those are complicated. Those are things you got to apply for. Those are things you're going to pay back. Those are things we're going to have to see how they age. But a tax credit that's immediately available is a check. And that keeps you in the game.
Frank, let me ask you, when you use the example of $1 million in revenue, tips at 20%, 200,000, given that a lot of tip money is cash and it goes in someone's pocket, and I know you mentioned how that kind of comes back to bite you now when you're actually looking for a refund money, but does the government, does the tax man arbitrarily use 20% as the number if they were looking at your books and said, we assume all your revenue is based on people getting paid 20% tips?
The IRS has the freedom to do pretty much whatever they want.
True.
Right? And we're in a plastic industry now. I think we're going to see even payments change in the new normal in terms of handling the plastic cards. However, we all know that payment is a record now, so they can figure it out. Yeah, I think for easy math, you can say 20%, but even on any place you go now, taxi cabs, restaurants, they're giving you the guidance, right? 15%, 10%, 20%. So the IRS is going to figure it out.
Okay. Okay, so my next question, I think I got that. My next question related to that is, how does this affect the therapist or the stylist directly? What's the implication there?
So you mean like what does the credit accomplish?
Well, I know how this helps owners. Does this affect in any way or form the 70 people who are working for you?
Well, I'll tell you that I run my business relatively conservatively, so I'm very confident that we're going to be back and as strong as ever.
Yeah.
But the answer to the question is, for a lot of businesses, uh, if they can't stay in business, there's no job. So this is very relevant to the employees, because if there's no employer, there's no job. The rubber
Right
hits
to
the
the root
road.
level. Yep.
Yeah, and I think employees, I think we all see that now. I mean, we're seeing the independent contractors in the industry. We're seeing gig workers inside and outside the industry. We're seeing people say, wait a minute, where's my help? Where's my support? And Congress, yes, has come in and tried to provide a piece there, but we're going to be dealing with that issue that employers have always played this very, very important role. It might be seen more than ever now. So
Right.
we got to get those employers whole.
By the way, I would argue that yes, restaurants are everywhere and they have it, but you cannot diminish the importance of our industry. In fact, I think there's probably more locations for us than there would be for restaurants. If not, it's awful darn close across the country. Because even here in Palm Springs, I can go to places where it seems like 3 of the 4 corners have a nail salon, a spa, a salon, or something along the way. Myra, did you want to address the audits or the fines, or do you want to talk about how even though Frank's spas may get the benefit of the credit, he's providing benefits and employment and all the other things, right, that go along with this, with 45
Right.
coming into effect for us?
Well, so 2 parts. When we have had PBA members go through an IRS audit, they have mentioned that they'll call us and talk to us about it, sometimes just for guidance with data and numbers and how their process continues. And we've heard a variance. Nothing's been consistent. Some have been fined 10% penalties. Some have averaged at 7%. So unfortunately, I don't think there's some consistent system. It might just be up to the auditor that you get on how they're going to figure that out. Even salons that have had software installed to be able to help track them to explain their tipping, if the credit card didn't quite match what they were saying for the cash, then they were dinged on the cash side. So it just didn't completely make them safe on both sides if it looked too uneven, unweighted, inconsistent on what they were reporting through credit cards and cash. In terms of, when we bring salon owners, like Frank himself has testified in front of Congress on numerous occasions. He's come to numerous lobby days where he sat down with congressional members, their staff, tax counsel. A lot of what we explain is the opportunity to reinvest in the salon. Before this global pandemic hit and the economy shut down, salon owners were looking at additional benefits such as healthcare, when healthcare was a huge topic and still is, to provide to the employees. We have some that provide 401k. We had some that wanted to do additional training or remodeling so that their salon was more attractive, open additional salons to employ more people. So this benefit, although the financial component goes back to the owner, which it should, because they should not be paying taxes on something they don't pay out nor enjoy any revenue on. But this does benefit the employee directly, because not just because it, as Frank stated, the most obvious benefit is that you have a place to come to work. But if it's, the quality of the location, if they can do purchasing into more products, doing more training, offer more benefits, that keeps your staff whole, and it also encourages them to stay.
Well said. I don't think there's any question about the importance. What is the action that people in our industry should be taking?
We would love for members of the industry right now to write personal letters on their salon letterhead to members of Congress. We're happy to help you with this, to ask them for Congress to recognize and place this tax credit into the phase 4 economic stimulus package that they're working on right now in response to the coronavirus. They're working on a little 3.5 version right now to supplement funding back into the loan issue because the money's run out. But then they are going to move on to a phase 4. And what happens a lot of times when they're doing their best to put together bills quickly is that you're going to have to go back and fix them and introduce more versions, enable just to better cover the things that were missed or fix things that didn't quite work out how we thought they all were going to work out. So phase 4 is an opportunity for the professional beauty industry to be recognized and to be included, and that's what we're asking.
Well done. And I gather from what you're saying, you have to stay on it constantly. You just can't run in front of Congress and say, hey, let's take care of it, right?
Right. We have a federal lobbying team that's supported by PBA. We utilize capital tax partners. And then we bring in Frank many of times this past year and last year, and other advocates similar to Frank's situation where he owns multiple salons and it's employment based to come and, everyone is coming out to literally talk about their numbers, to talk about what this means to them, to give examples if they had access to that retroactive credit, how many weeks of payroll that could support right now. I mean, this is very real and it's happening in real time. So this is our chance to get in there and ask for what we need.
Wonderful. Frank, 7.65% is no joke when it comes to running a business. We're running out of time. I'm giving you the last word. Go ahead.
If you own a business, you've never had a better platform. You've never really had the microphone like you have right now to speak up for yourself, and you need to. And it can get overwhelming talking about references in the tax code or how the IRS works or how Congress works exactly. You don't need to be an expert on it. You need to be willing to write a single letter, and Myra and the team will help. And it's a very empowering, if you're sitting around now in a pandemic, one thing that makes you feel better is taking action on something. And this really is something that could make a massive, massive, literally $500 million difference to the industry per year right now.
Well, I can tell you, thank you to both of you. Our association is going to get way more active about this. There was the importance of it from Elizabeth a couple weeks ago, but I'm even feeling more stressed about wanting to drive this home and get it done. So I'm going to be pestering our members a lot to get those letters written. Myra in Arizona at PBA, Frank up in Boston with 3 salons, also PBA. God bless both of you. Everybody stay healthy. We'll get this done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allan.
Thank you so much.